It is September 27th, 2016. This is the Watchman News, and I'm Mike Callahan. So let me kind of get everybody up to speed on morning news. Now, I have a little bit of it, and so I would suggest you kind of stick around, listen to it all. It's going to start off with the less important topics, and we'll work forward. So first off, something happened last night in Charlotte, and I'm still kind of unclear exactly what it was. And it happened, oddly enough, during the debates. And I figured if there'd be a crackdown there or anywhere else in the world, that we would see something happen during the debates, because it's a great distraction. Why not use it, right? So this is what happened last night. Now, this is all I know of the video. I don't have anything more. I don't know what what caused this or anything else, but it's still concerning. And you'll see when an unmarked dark colored van pulls up and police jump out and they do this. There's no audio, so now that's a bit, I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense. I want to play it again, regular speed, and then I'll slow it down. But they just jumped out of that van, and slammed that person into the car. I mean, just like almost everything they had to do it. Let me slow that down to half speed here. Let's play it again. Now again, I don't know what happened right before this video started, but I would say that was a little bit too much. I don't get it why you would have to do that unless somebody did something insane. But not many people were watching because everybody was distracted last night, and these things happen when people are distracted. So I wanted to cover that first. Now we'll go on over with the rest of the reports. And again, we're going to start out, oddly enough, we're going to start out with kind of the least first, which this should say something about this report. Scientist says the world's first baby incorporating DNA from 3 parents has been born. Now, I don't have a link to the article. I didn't even Google it. I could have, I guess. But wow, I mean, this is going a little bit far, I think. On to the next. This is some sad news coming out of New York. Fire Department New York Battalion Chief killed when a drug lab explodes in the Bronx. And I'm not going to read all the stories, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the links to these stories down in the description tab. So, next up, U.S. PMI bounces, but unemployment hits 33-month lows. Wow. It's insane. And we were low enough as it is. I don't know what numbers they're given here as far as the unemployment. Of course, we've been given false numbers for quite some time now on the true unemployment in this country. But again, I'll leave the link to this article in the description tab. Now, we're kind of going to go with the big stuff, or at least I feel it's the big stuff. I would hope others would too. Russian Foreign Ministry makes public parts of agreement with U.S. on Syria. See, here's the thing. Anytime anything happens over there at this point, the United States is pointing the finger at Russia immediately. Before there's even a chance to really look into anything, it's Russia's fault. Now, we've seen this type of rhetoric going on for years. Remember the airliner about a year ago or so, or maybe 2 years by now, that was shot down, and immediately Russia was blamed. They didn't even have a chance to investigate anything, and they were pointing the finger at Russia. They're doing this in an alarming amount, and with some of the stuff, wow, it's kind of insane. So I think Russia is being forced to make public information so that, at least the rest of the world sees what is going on. Obviously, even NATO is going against Russia. So there's not much on that report. I'll still leave the link because I'm sure they'll update it. And here we go. This we need to pay attention to. It's something we already know, but the more and more it hits the headlines, the more and more it confirms it. Americans are on our side. Al-Nusra commander says U.S. arming jihadists via third countries. Okay, so here's the thing. Nothing new. We've known this. Al-Nusra, the same thing as Al-Qaeda, the same thing as the Taliban, the same thing as ISIS, the same thing as ISIL. It's all the same folks. It's all the same people with all the same purpose, to go in and destabilize these countries so that we can force them into the global economy. Okay? That's what it is. I mean, it sounds crazy, I know. That's what's going on. If you look at all the countries, Africa, Libya, I mean, you name it. You go down the list. You look at all the countries. Watch when it is that they join the global economy. Watch when it is that they get involved with the global banking system and give up their sovereign system. Okay? And you'll notice how we go in, we bomb and spread freedom, and next thing you know, they're in the global banking system. Go look at a map. It proves itself. All right, here's a image from India. This is not Syria. This is India, and it's an image of children walking along the street in New Delhi. This is why. Now, let me ask you this: who is giving the ordnance? Who is giving the bombs? Who is giving the supplies to do this? Huh. All right, here's another report out of Zero Hedge. Russian Foreign Ministry responds to U.S. accusations. The real barbarism, or you know what I mean, is what you did in Libya and Iraq. Hey, I've only had one cup of coffee. Cut me some slack here. So anyway, Russian Foreign Ministry responds to accusations. This is insane. The war of words between the U.S. and Russia escalated dramatically today when, in response to an accusation by Samantha Power, the U.S. envoy to the UN, on Sunday that what Russia is sponsoring and doing in Syria is not counterterrorism, it is barbarism. I'm still saying it wrong. The Russian Foreign Ministry, through a Facebook post by its spokesperson, Maria Zakharova, hey, wait, I said a Russian, maybe I'm speaking Russian today or something, responded that there is nothing more barbaric in modern history than what the U.S. has done in Iraq and Libya. So, this is crazy. This is insane, and it's not. I'm telling you, it's not going to work out for the U.S. favor here. We've been doing this for far too long. We have been absolutely destroying these countries for far too long, and they figured it out. Believe me, they figured it out. Now they're starting to put groups together. Now, this is why I saved this for last, because this is probably one of the biggest things we need to be paying attention to. Pentagon chief says Russia and North Korea most likely to use smaller-scale nuke attacks. This isn't fear-mongering, folks. We are postured, I believe, in a position that outweighs what happened during the Cold War. I really feel that. I mean, I don't think this is Cold War again. I think this is something more. Again, the world is getting tired of us going in and bombing and forcing countries to do what we want them to do. Now, I know it's not exactly what we want them to do. It's what our handlers want them to do. But nonetheless, it's the people in these countries that's going to have to deal with the devastation and the loss. I'll go ahead and I'll read this one because it's not real long. The most likely use of nuclear weapons today would be smaller-scale attacks by Russia or North Korea, Defense Secretary Ash Carter said on Monday. Now, mind you, remember this, that this is going to have a propaganda rhetoric to it, right? It's Russia's fault. It's you know, you poke the bear and it's still Russia's fault, you know. It is a sobering fact that the most likely use of nuclear weapons today is not the massive nuclear exchange of the classic Cold War type, Carter said during a visit to Minoy Air Base in North Dakota. Rather, he said, but I wonder, by the way, while he was there, if he went down and checked on the Native Americans at the pipeline. Probably not. Rather, he said, attacks would be the unwise resort to smaller but still unprecedentedly. Wow. I need to have Jen read these. Terrible attacks. For example, Russia or North Korea to try to coerce a conventionally superior opponent to back off or abandon an ally during a crisis. Carter said the U.S. was working with allies in both Europe and East Asia to innovate and operate in new ways to maintain deterrence and preserve the status quo. In Europe, he said, the U.S. was refreshing the North Atlantic Treaty Organization playbook to deter Russia from thinking it could benefit from using a nuclear weapon in a conflict with the alliance. Now, obviously, we do not seek such a conflict to begin with. Rather, we seek to prevent one, he said. Of course. U.S. relations with Russia have soured after Moscow invaded Ukraine in 2014 and annexed the peninsula of Crimea, which, by the way, the people wanted them in there to do. Carter also appealed for continued investment in the U.S. nuclear enterprise. He said in 2017, the Pentagon's budget would invest $19 billion in nuclear enterprise as part of a $108 billion over 5-year effort to sustain and recapitalize the nuclear force and associated systems. Doing this will cost money, of course, but most people don't realize that funding for the nuclear enterprise is a small percentage of total defense funding, he said. In the end, though, this is about maintaining the bedrock of our security. And after too many years of not investing enough, it's an investment that we as a nation have to make because it's critical to sustaining nuclear deterrence in the 21st century. Okay, you know, they're pandering for money. They're pandering for a bigger defense budget. Now, they're not, I don't see people pandering to help all these people with student loans. I don't see them pandering to help the homeless veterans that are on the streets. I don't see them pandering to come up with money to try and deal with the unbelievable suicide rate that we have of our veterans. This is insane. Instead, they want to cause more. They want to cause more people to become that way because of their wars, because of their global banking system. Enough is